Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel. I'm Maya Tutsi, and we have a huge announcement. We have officially reached 750,000 subscribers. And as promised, we are going to celebrate together. And of course, I'm going to have to give you a discount, obviously. We're going to talk about the clash between Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage. Tommy has now responded from prison. In this live stream, we have a voice message from Tommy. It was a phone conversation from prison that was recorded, and we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to be talking about the real enemy right now. Let's not forget about that the fact that we have to shift the focus towards the government and Keir Starmer. They are in power, and when it comes to grooming gangs, when it comes to all the issues that we're facing, we have to focus on that rather than just being divided on the political right. First things first, to celebrate 2CTV's achievements of reaching 750,000 subscribers, we are going to give you a discount for 2CTV Plus memberships, annual memberships. You get 50% off now. It's a limited offer. Don't come to me afterwards saying I missed the offer now. Go on 2c.tv, use the promo code WIN50. Yes, WIN50. The link is also in the description if you want to check it out. Join us, an annual membership. Don't try with the monthly membership, it doesn't work there. And of course, celebrate. It's time. I don't know why we decided to choose purple as the color theme, but political party, neutral color, I guess, right? Apart from UKIP. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a messy few days for Reform UK. They've had clashes with Elon Musk. They've had clashes with Tommy Robinson and their own supporters, their own party members or subscribers, technically. And Tommy has decided to send a message to Nigel Farage from prison. We're going to show you the audio clip that we have, and then we're going to talk about what's happened today in the House of Commons, because that's where the actual fight is when it comes to Keir Starmer's socialist government. Let's go to Tommy.
When you're in prison, small things are big things, and this isn't even a small thing. And they're big things because you sit and stew about them all day. And to say last week I was disappointed, or this week I've been disappointed with Nigel Farage is an understatement. But I've gone from disappointment to outraged, as he's now lied on national radio. He's made the allegation that I have a criminal conviction for violence against women.
Robinson's talked about this, but he has a criminal record, a list as long as your arm. Violence against women.
It's an out-and-out lie. Nigel's a big voice, a serious voice. He gets taken seriously. People believe what he says. And he, time and time again now this week, he's took his opportunity to defame me, to slander me, to lie about me. In a week where he sat, and I watched because he accused Kemi of lying about him, because Kemi said he played with a few numbers on his membership scheme. It's a bit of a different lie to making the ultimate accusation that I am violent against women. What's worse that he could have said? It's outrageous, Nigel. This is a lie. You know it's a lie. This isn't the first time. And you don't have to support me. I don't know why you keep sitting on TV and saying Tommy Robinson's not allowed to join Reform. I've not asked to join Reform. I never have. I'm doing my thing. All you had to say is he does his thing, we do ours. But you haven't. You've gone beyond that. You took the attack line. Some people are saying, well, he has to distance himself. You've not even tried to distance yourself. You're attacking me at a time when I don't have an opportunity to defend myself. At a time when I'm sat on solitary confinement for telling the truth, Nigel. You say contempt. 53 million people have watched that film. They know I told the truth. And I made the decision to play that film, which I don't regret. And I'm in jail now for that, and I don't regret it. Because I actually do believe in free speech. I do stand by my values and stand by my principles. So you don't have to support me. This isn't the first time. In my first contempt in 2017-18, when I was outside Leeds Crown Court reporting on grooming gangs, I was put in jail then. And I watched as Nigel Farage justified my imprisonment. And then I was released because everything they'd done was unlawful. But he took the establishment line then. My terrorism case, which is coming up on March the 20th, which everyone's going to get to see. And when I was arrested for terrorism, so many Reform members and supporters were demanding Nigel speak out against the abuse of power under terrorism legislation to detain a journalist and then charge me because I wouldn't give them access to my sources of information on my phone. It's outrageous. Nigel then said it was because of a passport. That's another lie. It'll be proven in the court case. And he's justified my treatment after playing my film Silence. And now this. Nigel, this is not fair. It's cowardly. I've made the attempt time and time again to say I don't want to be at war with Nigel Farage. I don't want to be going backwards and forwards with Nigel Farage. But I don't want you to lie about me. I'm not saying you have to support me. Just stop lying about me. I was hoping that you, Reform, would be a voice for working class people who have been betrayed.
Yeah, unfortunately, the prison service are in charge of the phone calls and conversations. They could be cut off at any moment, and that was the end of unfortunately the conversation with Tommy from Wood Hill Prison. Now, it doesn't look good when it comes to the unity of the political right, and it is also fascinating that when one person or one side starts the division, when others then hit back, the other people get told, you are the one dividing, stop dividing. Well, when one side starts the attack, you have to defend yourself, especially when it comes to your family and your personal life. It's interesting that obviously Nigel Farage obviously continues to personally attack, not just Tommy, but also his supporters. But when their supporters defend themselves, they say, oh, no, what are you guys doing? You need to support Nigel. You're dividing the political right. Well, it's just retaliation. And it's not good in general anyway. But let's not forget about the real enemy, and that is Keir Starmer's government. And we have to also talk about that, so instead of just talking about the gossip and division among the political right. Kemi Badenoch did actually quite well today at Prime Minister's question, which is quite rare. And she did try to hold Starmer to account. There were a number of things that she said, including the fact that Starmer is clearly scared about the national inquiry because all his top MPs are in all those constituencies that had problems with grooming gangs. And a number of other things she also mentioned, right? Now, let's quickly go to Kemi and show you that video as well. Because again, we have to talk about what's going on in the House of Commons. Let's go to that video.
About a bill this afternoon. Later today, he will tell Labour MPs, including in Telford, Rochdale, Bristol, Derby, Aylesbury, Oldham, Bradford, Peterborough, Coventry, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, Ramsgate, to tell all of these people to vote against a national inquiry into the gangs which have systematically gang raped children in their constituencies. This is one of the worst scandals in British history, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry? Just, this is a very...
So that was the end of that part. She's right. Whatever we might think of the Tory party and Kemi as leader, when she says something right, does something right, I will definitely praise her. And that was absolutely correct. And it's important because it doesn't really matter what we think about the opposition party. She's doing it in the House of Commons on a parliamentary level, and the country is listening. The press, the media are listening. And the message is getting out there. It's not really always about the messenger. You know, the messenger is not perfect, Kemi Badenoch, but the message is correct. People need to start remembering why these Labour politicians on local levels in all these urban areas, why they did what they did, why the cover-ups continue, and why they are afraid of that can of worms being opened. And this is exactly why. I mean, there are other issues as well, but we have to talk about the political side, which is they don't want to lose their seats, and they want to continue to pander. Anyway, so let's get some reaction quickly from you guys. Before we do that, don't forget to celebrate 750,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. We are going to be celebrating this, so giving you guys 50% discount 2CTV Plus annual memberships by going on 2c.tv or find the link in the description. Use the promo code WIN50. I almost forgot the actual code, WIN50. When you sign up to the annual subscription, fill out your details at the bottom of the page. It says got a coupon, put the code there, and you will join, get access to premium content, documentaries, and everything else. All right, so where are we? What are you guys saying? We have a super chat from myself. Says during the 1971 Bangladesh creation, the two then Pakistanis raped over 200,000 people. These kind of things have been there. Yeah. Also, let's not forget that the Pakistani regimes continue to use it as a torture, and it's just part of their tactic. As a tactic, it is a chess match. you may have to voters to gain. You may have to voters to gain the majority from middle. They know what they are doing. Farage is not perfect, but I prefer him than another Labour or Tory term. See, this is the thing. The conversation isn't about one individual versus other parties. This is the problem with cult personalities. It's not between Nigel Farage, Labour or Tories. It's between Reform UK, Labour and Tories. It's not one individual. And that's the whole point. When you criticise one person from one party, it doesn't mean you're criticising the whole party as well. But obviously, yeah, they're still better than Labour and Tories. Mr. Prince 85 says, don't split the right, people. Never been more close to power. As Reform, be patient. We will get our country back. Yeah, division doesn't help. And Gary Buchanan saying, brilliant in reaching 750,000. That's it, 750,000 pounds, by the way. Subscribers, you mean, Anna. Linda says, always it's better to be careful with the way you talk, especially when you talk about private life. Respect should be a must. I mean, there is a good point to be made about when you attack people and get their families involved. And in this case, obviously, Nigel brought in Tommy's ex-wife, and they have kids together. And as Jenna said yesterday, and we reported on the channel, her response was that she now has to explain. She's been spending the last couple of days explaining to her kids what the truth is, because the other kids, obviously their friends, will go around and say, "Oh, we've heard your dad has been beating up your mum." It's not really good, is it? And especially when it's not true. Another super chat. Thank you, by the way, saying, how the hell do I cancel my Reform membership? I emailed them with my feelings known, and all I got is thanks for your feedback. Well, because there's no membership yet, because obviously they are changing the constitution. It hasn't been confirmed yet, so it's still what you have is a subscription, like if you subscribe to 2CD Plus. So I don't know the mechanism of how to cancel that. I'm guessing it's just your direct debit. I'm not really sure. And Stu says, the DPP doesn't act as a solicitor or barrister in court. Claiming to be a chief prosecutor is just trying to sound like a hotshot. He was an office manager. I think this is referring to Keir Starmer, not Nigel or Tommy. It's a separate point. Yeah, correct. Dorena says, congratulations on 750,000. I started listening to you when you didn't even have 500,000. Oh, thank you so much for that. Did someone just say not 750% discount? 750%. You do realize how that works, right? People were asking for 75% discount because 750,000. But do you want us to go bankrupt as a team? If you want that, then sure. Anyway, we got John Johnson saying, Nigel wants to pay for a full inquiry into grooming gangs. Why? He's just trying to regain some popularity again. I thought he didn't want to alienate Muslims. What's changed? There's no need for... And you won't get anywhere. This is the problem we have. Okay. At times, smaller political parties and political movement can do things separately, independently. Absolutely. For example, when Reform UK wanted to bring in a prosecution against those two Islamic brothers at the Manchester airport incident. But even then, it's kind of tricky. We need not an independent private investigation into grooming gangs. That's not how it won't get anywhere. You need the central mechanism. You need the national inquiry done by the central government. That's the only way, and that's always paid for by the taxpayer. You can't use your own money. It's apart from a gimmicky thing that you could say, yes, I'm doing something. But it doesn't actually get anywhere doing a private prosecution. You pay for it with your money or your own party money. There's no need for that. When you're a parliamentarian, you use your role as a parliamentarian to keep pushing for it. And you now have a lot of people. You got the Tories, you got Reform UK, you got the other parties work together and push for it. You don't need to do a private investigation to claim that I did something. It's just taking credit. It won't get anywhere. Stu says Farage is standing for the right, but cozying up to the establishment left and trying to get them on board by playing the crooked rules. It's the compromise game, I guess. Linda says, funny how Nigel started bad-mouthing Tommy after Elon Musk's donation was announced. Well, yeah, I mean, because when Elon mentions anything or anybody, same with Trump, it becomes international news. So you're going to have to respond. I mean, you don't have to respond. I mean, the whole point of that, as Tommy said in his voice message, just say, Tommy's doing his own thing. We have a political party. We are doing our own thing. And that's it. And just say, Tommy hasn't asked to join us, which is true. Just move on. You don't have to continue to attack his personal life and family and kids and wife, bringing them into the conversation. It's not good. And also slandering is a little bit naughty, I guess. Just a little bit naughty and illegal, by the way. Pat says, afternoon, Maya. As Tommy said, he's not politically motivated. He is motivated by decades of ignorance and deceit. Love your channel, keeping us informed. Yeah, and also, as I said, criticizing one person from a political party doesn't necessarily mean you're dividing the whole political right or the party. So there are still members of Reform UK who don't agree with Nigel on this issue, and they also have sympathy when it comes to Tommy. But there are some people saying if you criticize Nigel, then you are basically stopping Reform UK and the whole Reform movement. That makes no sense. People were criticizing and trying to bring down Theresa May as party leader, Tory leader. That didn't bring down the Tory party. That, in fact, brought up the Tory party because Boris Johnson came and fixed the Tory party for like 10 minutes, obviously. Then the whole thing went down again. One person is not the whole party. Those who are supporting reform and saying, oh, by attacking our dear leader, you're basically attacking the rest of us. That's not true. Because there are so many others in Reform UK who actually are standing up for the other side, including people like Rupert Law, who's a member of parliament as well. Anyway, let's see what MSW says. We have 4 years of this S. Yep. Drew says, so when his bank blocked him, Farage, he went nuts about false reports on him, and now he does the same thing to Tommy without getting his facts straight. Well, I know you could use a better recent example, which was when Kemi Badenoch came out with her conspiracy theories that Reform UK are lying about their numbers of memberships, which was a lie, what she was saying. Obviously, Nigel, rightly so, kicked off, right? Because that was slanderous. It's just defamation. And that was only like a couple of weeks ago as well. John Smith says, Nigel is not a savior like some people think. He's part of the more soft establishment. That's all. It's not necessarily, you shouldn't really see anybody as a savior. The best way to say it, if you think one person like Nigel is either a Robin Hood character completely outside the system, or they still want to be inside the system and kind of reform it. Literally, the name of the party is reform, not destruction. So I think some people did assume. I don't think in defense of Nigel for once, because it seems like I've been criticizing him a lot. He never actually claimed during the last few months during the campaign to be a Julian Assange character, to be a Robin Hood character or Oliver Cromwell character. He didn't really claim that. He didn't say anything radical, even during the campaign. He was very cautious. But I think there was a perception of some people who voted for Reform and Nigel. I don't know, they probably assumed he's like some sort of messiah character, like he's going to be basically bringing down the establishment. But that's not the case. He wants to basically create a credible parliamentary party to play within the system, to reform the system. You might agree, you might disagree with that method, but that's the approach that I've always had, even since UKIP. It wasn't to just stand outside the tent and shout. But I think some people assumed that. Some people who voted for reform were like, yes, we got the completely anti-establishment side. No, he's a critic of the establishment who wants to softly reform it. He wants to be in the establishment. And there's nothing wrong with the word establishment, by the way. The establishment is the actual concept. The problem we have is the people inside the establishment over the last few decades, because it's been infiltrated by a bunch of idiots, with self-serving idiots. But the establishment simply means the system itself. And so if you have better people in the establishment, it will be fine. But if the good people join in, and that includes people like Nigel, and then compromise, then you kind of become the existing establishment. You're basically making excuses for the existing establishment. For example, by saying, oh, it's impossible to, for example, challenge Islam as an ideology. That's what Nigel says, right? So he says, let's try and work with them, because he thinks that means he will lose votes. But you can still criticize the ideology. Trump does it all the time. And he still had a lot of the Western Muslims voting for him anyway, because they understood. Some of them, I guess. Super chat from Old Woman saying, I don't trust any of the government departments to do a thorough and honest investigation into raping gangs. No, government departments won't be doing that. So if you want a national inquiry, you're not going to have government departments. Government can't be involved with that. The national inquiry that Keir Starmer should be calling won't have the government itself investigating itself. That would be weird. So it will be an independent inquiry, obviously, with the oversight by the state, by the crown. That's the only way to do it. That, you know, they're going to eventually be forced to do something, by the way. I don't know what they're going to do. Terence says, congrats on 750,000 subscribers, but I cannot vote for reform unless Farage comes around about us lot and Tommy. I mean, all he has to do is just stop attacking, I guess, because the Tommy movement and reform are two separate things. One is a cultural movement, one is a political party, and just leave it at that instead of just attacking. I'm certain Nigel agrees with Tommy. Oh, he doesn't. But doesn't want to lose followers of reform. It's too risky. No, I've addressed this many times because a lot of people assume that as well. I've known both of them for a few years. Well, Tommy last couple of years, and privately and publicly, Nigel's position has not changed. Privately and publicly. Over the last 10-15 years, Nigel always had an issue with Tommy and the Tommy style of movement and political activism, whatever you want to call it. It's not a new thing. Even privately, he's always, because he doesn't do street protests and things like that. And you know, he's a middle-class countryside conservative. It's very different to urban activism, let's just say. And Tommy's thing is literally called Urban Scoop. So it's not really or just a public thing. And that would have been worse. If that was true, that's worse, because that means you're two-faced. That's worse. It's actually better that we have someone who's privately and publicly consistently been against Tommy, even though you might disagree. We're like, what's wrong with Tommy? But at least he's been consistent about that. Right. Where are we with the rest? We have another super chat. Maya, if Robert Jenrick becomes a Tory leader this year, do you think Reform and the Tories will have to create a coalition to remove Labour? It doesn't matter who the Tory leader is. Even with Kemi, they will be forced to do it. Then they can't say it now. Neither side could say it because they have to keep fighting for their own members and their own votes. Towards the end, if we have a situation where there's a hung parliament and Labour can't form a government, the only way is for Tories and Reform. And what they can do is publicly say, oh, reluctantly, we're going to have to work together. Oh, we really didn't want to, like the Tories and Lib Dems in 2010. But this is the only way. Otherwise, you're going to have a minority Labour government, which nobody wants. That also includes a lot of the left-wing voters. Even Kemi will be forced to do it. Mike says, I was thoroughly impressed by Jenna, Tommy's ex, and her response to Farage. She doesn't take BS from a banker. Maya, you're a lightweight. You should have 1 million subscribers by now. You start the channel. Criticizing me, Mike. Now, Mike is a good guy. I'm trying. We've had so many issues. The changing algorithm that YouTube makes every year, sometimes every 6 months, but towards the end of the year, they always change the algorithm. It takes weeks for it to kick in again. So it's now fine. So we've gone back to our videos being recommended. For the first few weeks, all the channels were being affected, political and non-political channels. We're back now. I think we're back. As long as you click on notification bell and click on all. So hopefully there should be no more problem when it comes to the road to 1 million. And obviously to celebrate 750,000, we got the 50% discount for you guys. Use the promo code WIN50. I keep forgetting. WIN50 by going on 2c.tv. Find the link in the description under the video. Join us annual memberships, not monthly. 50% off annual memberships. So do it now because it's limited. Otherwise, we're going to go bankrupt. And that's it. Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about today, including Emmanuel Macron's threat against Elon Musk, and 2CTV reporter was attacked, well, technically, by the police. Very aggressive behavior by the police. We're going to talk about that later on as well. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.